All right, welcome. It's the Enlisted to Entrepreneur Challenge edition on service support, namely on how to hire remote help. And I've been getting requests from multiple members online and offline asking to explain how to get additional help, how to find good virtual assistants, how to manage a remote team. So this is what this video is going to be about. It's going to be a bit impromptu, but basically, I wanted to talk a little bit about the book called The EMyth Revisited, and then we're just going to go straight into teams and shit. But why would you want to listen to me? So I just ran the stats recently, and over the last decade, I've actually bought almost 47,000 hours of remote help, and that's not including team members I had actually full-time or in the office, things like that. This is legitimately just remote virtual assistant and team members. And at one time we were up to almost 20 in the team. So also just a little trip down memory lane. Actually, early on when Odesk was before they got acquired by Upwork, it was one of the biggest, two biggest outsourcing websites in the world, and apparently I somehow got into the top 10% of their clients in Canada. So that's just a cool little thing. But anyway, so again, I don't have a lot of slides. It's going to be mostly hands-on, and I want to jump right in. So this is a book called The EMyth or The EMyth Revisited. It's actually been written quite a long time ago, but it's a staple in the business world, and I accidentally discovered it just last year and just before Christmas. But it's actually a really good book, and I highly recommend that you read it. But one of the things, like basically, I'm going to use somebody else's blog, but one of the overarching themes there is that you got to build an org chart even while you're still a solopreneur, because you got to understand all of the functions that happen inside of your business, whatever it is, and then you have to pretty much map it all out and basically create descriptions for each position. And then at first you are responsible for each of those job descriptions, and then eventually you will hand it off one by one. And typical structure may look like this. Too small to see, but essentially you have the leader up top, then you have team leaders, and then each team will have team members and stuff like that. Kind of like in the military, you have platoons organized into sections or squads. Same idea. So that will ensure that you set up your business with a foundation for success. That will ensure that you have a proper structure. Another thing is this book, Who Not How. It also teaches you to think like a business owner and someone who works on the business, not in the business, and delegate. And instead of thinking of how can I do this, who can do this for me, right? And that really compresses the time and really helps you move forward quickly. Here's another, again, it's not my content, but usually, in the beginning, you start a business and you execute and do everything, and you sell and you work and you basically do everything yourself. But for long-term success, you gotta delegate, specialize, focus on your area of genius, and then basically create a team that will help you. In order to grow your business, you're gonna have to change everything you do, and away from transactional management over to transformational leadership. And again, going back to the let's skip this a little bit, but from the org structure perspective, this is how it looks like. So you are yourself, then you finally get help, one person, then you get two, and then all of a sudden you're outnumbered. And then eventually it starts to look like this. You're in the center and everybody has to go to you. That's typically how people end up with. And then it starts maybe resembling something like that. And then you think you can just replace yourself with like the ops manager or ops director, and you just set them up for failure in that structure. Whereas this is how it's supposed to look like. So again, two different business gurus, for lack of a better word, same idea. You gotta have the optimal structure in place, and you gotta implement it ahead of time. Think ahead, even when you're just by yourself, because it's just going to make it easy down the road. Now, you're probably asking, well, must be nice, I'll hire when I have money or whatever. It's too expensive. And you do have a point. Obviously, I have been a solopreneur for a couple of years, but you know what? There's literally like, you got to ask yourself, not what does it cost me to hire this person, but what will it cost me not to hire this person in terms of lost opportunities, lost time, lost productivity, etc. So, and another point is that you may think it is expensive, but sometimes it's actually more affordable than you think. And this is again what I'm going to talk to you about. So, moving on to why the structure is important is, jumping ahead a little bit, but in order to manage, you're going to need that structure as well. So here's an example of our master project board, where you could see there's swim lanes. It's set up in the Japanese Kanban style, where basically picture these as like swim lanes, and cards travel from one function to another. So like you got business development, market research, copywriting, web development, graphics, video, traffic, and so on and so forth. So like a task can jump from one person to another until it actually gets into the completed tasks right here. So that's a very effective structure before we try to manage with different team silos, boards, and just went to this one master one where everybody at a glance can see what's going on. So highly recommend it, but works for me. But what it also is telling you that you do need that structure, even though that initially maybe like your business development and market research and copywriter and web developer, maybe you. But it makes it easier to manage tasks this way. So then again, how do I find this help? Well, of course, being in the veteran business group first, you gotta go into local veteran groups, such as this one, Hire a Veteran in Canada, or this multiple others that were Facebook, LinkedIn, sometimes Instagram, and you can ask around for recommendations and hire other veterans and just support each other. But if, let's say, we want to focus on strictly remote work, you can potentially save money, but in certain instances, I found it to be the opposite. So sometimes it was actually more expensive to hire somebody in Eastern Europe or even Asia or whatever, in certain professions where the market dynamics inflated those offshore salaries to the point where it actually more economical to hire domestically in Canada and actually have the person next to me in the office that was pre-COVID, where we can whiteboard and do other things that you can do. So you got to obviously evaluate it. But in essence, let's say when it's like a solopreneur and you do most of the things yourself and you want to hire that first remote assistant. So we're going to focus on that scenario. And there's a few resources outside of just hiring people or local veterans or students, apprentices. So one resource is Fiverr that you probably have heard of. So Fiverr, again, it's evolved over the years, but initially the whole website was born out of an idea where like you pay somebody $5 and they do a task for you. So it's kind of like a dollar store of tasks. And I think it evolved. I think there are now freelancers you can hire more on a more long-term basis. But in my mind, it's still a marketplace for like gigs, right? So like it's a one-time thing. I need something fixed, and I need something done quickly, one-off jobs. Right? One of the examples, like back 6 or 7 years ago, I was still making my own web pages, and there's one web page I literally spent like probably 5 hours just trying to tweak this one line of CSS code, and it just wasn't working. And I just literally, after spending an entire day trying to fix it, and I went on Fiverr and posted I don't remember if I posted a gig or I found somebody who advertised help with CSS, paid them $5. In 20 minutes, my problem was solved. Like that literally blew my mind. So think about it, like, how much time you may be wasting trying to figure out how to do, how to do this task that you think you know how to do, but there's people who are much more versed at it and can do it in minutes instead of hours. That was just an epiphany for me, after which I started looking into more and more of getting help for everything that I'm not really good at. Even though I thought I was good at web pages. So anyways, yeah, so Fiverr, again, I think you can find more like ongoing freelancer, but usually it's for gigs. So it's like, I need this image created for my LinkedIn profile. I need this video transcribed. I need this research done, or I need the design for a t-shirt or something like that. So basically, it's good for that. So we personally used it for transcribing, for graphics, for research. We even used it for certain like quick video, user-generated content style ads for our physical products. I would send someone a product, they would review it, and basically very inexpensively. And what else we use it for? I think for some basic research and a few other things. But now they got all kinds of different somebody can write sales letters, email copy, whatever. Like it's really grown, but in my mind, it's still a one-off gig type of thing. Like I need to get some help with this one-time project. I'm gonna find someone. So let's just say I'm looking for Facebook cover. Usually it will sort things by relevance, and you can sort it by I think number of orders and stuff like that. But essentially, yeah, like, and you can see the prices have inflated from $5. Like it's basically $5 is just a single unit of currency on the site. So right now, certain things cost a lot more than just $5. Usually I look at reviews and turnaround speed, and then just sometimes they would have an example of their past work. Also, just their style, like maybe like I don't like this style, but I like this style. So, and then yeah, you pretty much going to take a look at their portfolio. You see what you're getting yourself into, and we'll see the how many open gigs they currently got, so like how busy they are, and those also going to be reviewed. So usually then I contact the seller and ask them confirmatory questions. I don't just buy it outright. Like, hey, I need to do this, can you do it? And sometimes they will say yes, order the gig, or sometimes they will negotiate with you. So it's always a good idea to reach out first before just ordering, unless it's like something stupid simple like I don't know. So that's Fiverr. I've had pretty decent success with those like one-off gigs, or for anything that's like user-generated videos, something like that. But let's say you want somebody who's more dedicated. So another popular site that I learned early on when I tried is called onlinejobs.ph. So this is basically a virtual workers from the Philippines only website that's it's been around for a long time, probably over 10 years. I think I don't know if it's changed, but basically it's a flat subscription fee to use it. and then you negotiate directly with your freelancer and you pay them directly. So I think, yeah, like 10 years ago, I actually tested it. So you basically, it's like a old school job board where you just find people, you post a job, and then you communicate over email, and they usually are on a flat monthly fee. I don't know what it is today, but at the time, 10 years ago, you could hire like a full-time web designer for like $500-600. Those prices probably do not exist anymore, but that was kind of the thing. So you would pay a monthly fee to this place, and then as soon as you're done hiring, you could pull it off, and then you negotiate a monthly fee directly with the worker. Now, I maybe hired 1 or 2 people from this resource. I know a lot of other people who have really good success with it. I personally just kind of found hourly contracts better for my business, because sometimes I'd have a lot of work and then it would be like down times when there's not a whole lot. So I prefer like a fluctuation hourly structure, and that's why I discovered Odesk at the time, which then merged with freelancer.com and became Upwork, which is, I think right now, is still the biggest freelancer marketplace in the world. And again, there's been quite a bit of inflation on the platform. Again, 10 years ago, you could hire somebody for $2 an hour if you wanted to. I think they now implemented a floor, something like $4 or $5 an hour. And some professions, like, they have really gone up. So like when mid 2010s, when apps became hot, like any app developer, doesn't matter who they were such high demand, they were charging $50, $100, $150 US an hour. Now it's like, Facebook marketers are in high demand, and so Shopify developers. So it's kind of fluctuating, and basically, you can do a search, or again, you can post jobs, and you can look for talent. So I don't know, let's say so you can look for Shopify developers, and then I usually filter it with there's like how long have they been. There you go. So only freelancers or agencies. I prefer freelancers working on directly, but maybe sometimes dealing with an agency could be better. I don't know. I prefer one-on-one, dedicated people, and you can look at their the rate ranges. So let's say that's what you're looking for. Then they have ratings, and then even certain languages. And then you can even search by location. So let's say you're comfortable working with people from, let's say, Ukraine. Then you can find specialists here. And I also like to include a filter where they're active in the last 2 weeks. I don't see it here, but usually you can see, because some people they still have a listing, but they haven't been active. So essentially, yeah, you'll see a profile, and you can invite them to your job, and then there's typically sort of a cover letter, and then you can see their work history, their reviews, and their qualifications. This one is a pretty bland profile. So you can also see how many open jobs they have. So like if they have 3 contracts open, they may have no availability to do what you want them to do, right? So like so see, they have one work in progress, right? Just hired in December, so it looks like they're pretty busy at this with this client. So you got to recognize it. So that's Upwork, and there are a few other systems now. There's FreeUp or something like that. There's a few more. There's, for Shopify specifically, the Store Tasker. So like there's now specialized marketplaces. So like a marketplace only for Shopify developers, and there's a marketplace only for, I don't know, something else. These are probably the most common systems that I use, Fiverr and Upwork. And then another one I recently liked, this is a little bit different, was it's a local Canadian startup from Ottawa. Basically, they have people who want to be apprentices, so you pay a flat monthly fee, just a few $100 to this startup called Acadium, and then you get essentially up to 3 apprentices included in that fee. So it costs you like almost nothing. They're going to be very part-time, like typically no more than 2 hours per day, but they just want to get some experience in exchange for some on-the-job training and mentoring. So that's another low-cost way of getting some help in hands. And then, after their term is done, usually 3 months, you can hire them directly. But yeah, I've had a few good people from this platform join as well. So basically, same kind of engine. You can create postings and then people will apply, as well as you can search their candidates and invite them. So now some points. So typically what I like to do is you gotta, first of all, like come up with a decent job description, and don't be all corporate about it, like just in plain simple words describe what you need done. And then you're going to start getting applications. Then I usually try to spend a couple of hours looking for people and inviting them. It doesn't matter which platform, like inviting people to apply. And then you got to screen them, right? Because there's a lot of good people on these platforms, but there's also a lot of people who are not so good, and then also people who are straight up trying to exploit the system. So I got all kinds of stories where, like, I saw portfolios from graphic designers, literally like 5 different people pitching me the same portfolio they downloaded somewhere. So like, they just copy each other. I had a web developer who had Upwork has a screen tracking technology where you can take snapshots of workers. Basically, it's not for micromanaging them, but basically I think it's a security feature. So I've seen people like basically playing video games on the second monitor and just had work on another, and they pretended they were doing work, and then you get charged for that time. I've seen all kinds of shenanigans. So essentially, you gotta do your role. So very simple as I like to include several screening questions in the posting, and there's a clause that says all applicants must answer these questions, otherwise you're not going to be considered. So that alone will weed out a lot of just copy paste people who are too lazy to read and just apply to everything. And also by the quality of answers, you can judge the character of the person. And then if that checks out, usually I look at their past work, but I can ask for references. But there's a very effective way is for me is to give them a practical assignment, right? So like something simple, and I'm willing to pay for it too. So like if it's a web designer, it could be like design a simple page, or if it's a graphic designer, design like one banner or something, like small piece of graphics. If it's a copywriter, write 100 words of copy. Things like that, and you can pay for an hour or two of their time. This will save you a lot of money if you make the wrong kind of hire. Another thing I mentioned earlier is that you want them to be ideally dedicated to you and not have any other contracts open, because what typically happens is a freelancer gets 1 contract, 2 contracts, and then they basically try to get more contracts while trying to juggle too many balls, and effectively your slice of the pie shrinks because they just can't dedicate as much time to your cause. So that's why I prefer someone who's more dedicated than just someone who's only I can work 2 hours a day on your project. What that means in reality is that they're already so busy that they may work 2 hours a week because they simply took on too much. Another case you typically want to avoid is somebody who has a full-time job outside of the freelance work, and then they decide that, well, I'm going to make some money, and I'm going to have this part-time online gig. What they don't realize is that actually they have a life, they want to get out with friends, they have this, they have that, and essentially, they overcommit. They think they can spend 2 hours every night and work on weekends, but in reality, they won't. Very rarely works. So once again, these are some of the websites that I used, and there are others, and some of them may be good, some of them maybe not. Essentially, you got to do your own screening. So make sure you have good job descriptions, you have a good screening questions, then you have a way to check their portfolio and the references, and then you have a way to give them a little practical assignment and see what they can actually do. And of course, there's all different interviewing techniques. You may or may not want to employ those, but basically, yeah, that's it. Some of the things you can get done. So again, video editing, graphics editing, research. There's right. So editing, graphics, research. For example, you can get a list of names from sort of a business group, and then you can have a total spreadsheet done for you where all the LinkedIn profiles, Instagram profiles, everything on them by a researcher system. Really handful of info that you don't have to do yourself. Saves a lot of time, and you can have them follow up. Like outreach, emails, DMs, customer service. They're great for virtual agents are great for customer service. And I'm just talking like, kind of like not specialized jobs right now. This is like more like administrative tasks, research tasks, something like that. You can have then also technical ones like, development and design. You can have help with, online ads. Now it's getting more technical and there's more risk involved. Programming, anything really, but I think starting off, depending on what kind of business you are, you always need help with like admin work. You always need help with emails. You always need customer service. You always need research. So those are the kinds of things that are probably the core first tasks to offload to a virtual assistant. So this is my process in a nutshell. Kind of a little bit impromptu, but I just wanted to get it out there for those of you who asked. And as always, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, doesn't matter. And I'll try to answer them in the follow-up information. So thank you. And we'll see you again.